Hello, you beautiful peeps out there in YouTube land. We're back. It's a Friday this time instead of a Thursday, so we don't have a royal taste tester today, but I won't lie to you. If it ain't good, I'll tell you it didn't turn out right. What we're going to do today is a recreation of something we did Tuesday. We were washing the fridge out and taking everything out and dumping anything that might be expired. And I had a container, a 5-ounce container of spinach, raw spinach in there. And I said, we need to get this used. I mean, it wasn't expired, of course. Trust me, I wouldn't do that. But I threw together some of the best thing I don't even know what to call it. I mean, you can type in suggestions on what we could name this, because we are going to try to create a cookbook on Amazon. So we need a name for it. Best name wins. Let's have a good competition going. But it turned out to be a very beautiful dish. And it was so good. Me and my niece Amy downed what we had of it. I mean, just completely ate it. But we're going to show you what we did, because basically I was like, we're just going to throw something together and hope it works. So this is what we did. This is a half of a bell pepper, yellow bell pepper, and it ended up being a whole cup. You're going to saute them along with a cup of celery, a cup of onion, and you're going to let it saute for a few minutes before you add the spinach to the concoction. And if you're a vegetarian, you just don't add the next two ingredients, which is 1 package of diced budding ham, which the other day when we did it, it was a pack of budding turkey. And if you like turkey, you could use that in place of it.
Yeah, if you want to use the chicken, use the chicken.
Yeah.
Whatever one you want.
You can use whatever flavor of budding you want to use in the meat. And which we didn't have these, I added them to it. Half a cup of bacon bits. Now, I only use the real bacon bits. I'm not a big fan on the imitation stuff. And what we're going to do, because she will not eat this. Number 1, she hates spinach. Number 2, she hates bell peppers.
And I don't like cooked onion.
She don't like cooked onion. And this made a beautiful dish. Oh, yeah, it was pretty so beautiful.
And you're frying it in butter, real butter.
Yes. I put in a half a stick of real butter. Now, the other day when I did it, I put in a whole stick, and we found out real quick that was a little bit too much.
But yeah, so it'd be real easy to make it vegetarian, just don't have to be.
Yeah. I mean, and it makes a beautiful dish. And what we're going to put it on, and if you can think of a better name for this, I'd appreciate that too. I call it Hush Puppy Corn Cakes. Now, I put in a half of a cup of flour, a cup of meal, about a quarter cup.
It was a half a cup of meal. You said
No,
half.
I didn't measure it, but I put in about a cup.
Oh, you said it was the same.
I was going to, but then I realized it wouldn't taste as cornbready if I did.
Oh, pepper.
So that was a miscommunication on my part with her. But it's got a cup of cornmeal, a half cup of flour, about a fourth of a cup, or a third of a cup of powdered milk.
And a half cup of onion.
And a half a cup of onion. Now, when you add onion to your cornmeal, you've got to add some salt. You don't want to over salt, but the onion absorbs all the salt and it tastes like you're eating unleavened bread if you don't add some salt. So what I'm doing is I'm just lightly covering my palm. That's maybe an eighth of a teaspoon, if that.
About a teaspoon.
And I'm adding that to it. And I need some lukewarm water, baby. And I'm mixing this a little bit before I start adding the water to it. Because if you do that, it makes it easier to mix on the whole. But see, I got some nice chunks of onion in there. And when I made them the other day, which was the first time I'd ever made them, they turned out so golden brown, and they were so good and crunchy. They were delicious, wasn't they, Phyllis?
Yeah.
Now, she loved them. But you want to mix it about like you would pancake. You don't want it too thick. You don't want it too thin either.
I was calling hush puppy pancakes.
Yeah, that's what she was calling them, was hush puppy pancakes. Me, I just call it hush puppy corn cakes. But if you guys can think of another name, we will announce who the winner is on the names. That's a way of getting everybody interactive with our cooking, because most of the stuff that I fix, she and I make up the recipe for. And there are probably people who already thought of doing this. I don't know. I ain't talked to anybody that has, but we're going to get this good and mixed up and you want to let your lard or grease or bacon grease, if I'd have fried some bacon grease would really make this taste and smell delightful. Okay, now you just want to keep this stirred and might add another sliver of butter to this, because I had less in here the other time. You don't want more than a little over a half of a stick. We're going to have to add just a little bit more, but that's the way we do this. We wing it. And it ends up being some pretty good. We end up flying with most of our dishes. And while she's doing that, I am going to see if, that's hot enough that we can start frying this. Okay. And my daughter, I think, ate something. No, she didn't, because she was in the hospital. Mm-hmm. My daughter just got out of the hospital, and she got out day before yesterday. She had some issues that she didn't take it from my side of the family, but what is it? Diverticulitis. So she was pretty infected. and they had to hospitalize her for, I think it was 3 days. Plus, she had a perforated colon on top of it. That's what I'm looking for. Now, usually when I fry corn cakes, I do it in my cast iron, but it's a little bit easier to do it in non-stick, which it's sticking to my non-stick. And that is not normal, I think. This one's starting to get a little bit scratched. And it's not the dimpled one, so it shouldn't stick. But, too, I started moving it around a little bit too soon, probably. Okay, we're going to let that fry. We've sauteed this long enough, we can add the spinach. And then we'll be putting a lid on it. And my counter's clean, I promise. Now this will cook down to where there's very little. It looks like there's very little mixed in that. But I'm telling you people, sometimes when you do recipes from necessity of getting rid of stuff before in your fridge before it goes bad, you can come up with some really good stuff. And this, trust me, is extremely good. And you don't want to oversalt this either. I'm one, and about another 1/8 teaspoon. It was about 1/8 for that too, so we're gonna put a lid over this and let it saute on low. And look how pretty. That is how beautifully golden brown it gets. And something she brought up was that when you do it like this, they taste like hush puppies, but they're not as greasy. We'll be back with you as soon as we get these done and as soon as this cooks down to show you the end result. Plus, we're going to also fix some corn that we froze from the garden last year. And what we do with that is put about 1/2 stick of butter in a cast iron skillet, let it melt down, and put it's a quart bag of corn, in on top of it and let it saute on low. And okay, we're back for another go at hopefully a non-stick, and what we're doing is using an ice cream scoop to pour it into this with, and I'm going to let it fry for a minute before I start trying to turn it. It should be all right this time. And see how nicely those greens are cooking down? That was so full you could barely get the lid on it. And now it's cooked down to where there's a lot less in there. See? And like I said, this is a beautiful, beautiful dish once it's done. All of the colors and it's smelling so good. It's starving me to death already. Of course, I didn't eat breakfast. I'm going to have to get in the habit of starting to eat breakfast because it's not good to take medication on an empty stomach, and I do it all the time, which is probably why my stomach's so messed up. But see how pretty that's getting? It's just By the time it's done, it is absolutely beautiful. Okay, now time to try and turn this. Perfect. And see how beautiful? Oh, people. And it tastes so good. I swear, we're going to have to see if we can contact Elon Musk about creating smell-o-vision, because this food smells awesome. It's already starving me to death. But we will be back with you in just a few minutes. I've been dealing with a lot of pain issues today due to the weather, especially in my back. So things aren't as easy for me today. But this is almost already done. And you can see how pretty the dish is. And once I put it on top of my cornbread, it's going to be a beautiful piece of cornbread. But I'm serious, people. If you'll type in comments, we're going to keep an eye on it on the comment section. And if you'll type in a comment for what to name this and what to name our hush puppy pancakes, as she calls it, then we will announce the winner next week when we do our video. Oh, that is so pretty. I'm one of these people. Food doesn't have to be pretty to taste good, but it helps. And when you do yours, you could put yellow and red and green bell pepper in it. Of course, you'd have to store the remainder of your bell peppers, but the dish is delicious. Okay, I'd turn that over one more time because that back's starting to look golden brown. It doesn't take long for them to fry either. I'm surprised at how quick they fry, because when you fry hush puppies, if you don't have a small enough dip put down in that deep fryer, the insides are not going to get done. You got to make them fairly small to get the inside of them done. I bit into one that wasn't done one time, and it almost turned me against hush puppies. But it makes quite a few the batter that we made up. Now I'm going to tell you all a joke, and it's nothing against any Catholics. This is the way I heard it, but you can change it to make it any way you want. When you retell it, you can make it Protestant. But anyway, there were these 3 men went out in a canoe on the Jordan River. They were all on sabbatical. Went out on the Jordan River in a canoe and was fishing. There was a Catholic, a Jew, and a Protestant. Well, the boat developed a leak. That Protestant said, I'm going to shore. He gets out of that boat and walks straight across the water to shore. Didn't sink, he just walked on that water. The Jew looked at the Catholic and said, I'm walking too. He gets out, walks across that water to the shore, and they turn around. Well, the Catholic's up to above his ankles in water, and he said, Well, if that Jew and that Protestant can walk on water, I can too. I got the faith they've got. He steps out of that boat and sunk into the water. I mean, it was way over his head. He finally swims over the shore, but while he's swimming towards the shoreline, the Jew looks at the Protestant and said, "Reckon we should have told him where the rocks were." Now, you can change that to where it's the Protestant staying in the boat or whatever. I just thought it was funny. Now, she has corn that she's going to eat with hers, but this is what I'm doing with mine. And like I said, it is a very beautiful dish, and it tastes as good as it looks. It even smells as good as it looks. And that's how I'm going to eat mine, on top of the cornbread. And she's going to eat hers with some corn. Either way, it's great. But we wanted to show you how we make all of this so that if you're going through your refrigerator so you can wash the shelves down and clean your refrigerator up, anything that you've had in there for a couple of days, or stuff that, like the spinach, the raw spinach that is about to become expired, just think about what all of this stuff would taste like put together. That's what I did when I created this. And until next week, we'll be watching your comments, and whoever comes up with the most creative name for this and the corn cakes, we will go by that. And we will announce the winner next week. Does that sound good to you? Because it did to us when we were thinking about it. But until next week, you guys have a very blessed week. Stay safe. We're supposed to get another 5 to 6 inches of snow here, and the first ain't even started melting off. And I ain't taking my Christmas tree down what time we got a white Christmas looking outside. So we will see you again next week.